Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me on this functional medicine topic about food allergies, sensitivities, and intolerances. The shocking truth is research have estimated that approximately 1.5 million Americans suffer from at least one food allergy. Of that figure, 5.9 million are children under the age of 18. Unfortunately, these numbers are only going up. But before we get into it, a brief introduction is in order. I'm Teresa Rispoli, Doctor of Clinical Nutrition, acupuncturist, and board-certified functional nutritionist. And I'm the founder of FunctionalNutritionistAcademy.com, where I teach a functional nutrition certification program called Mastering Functional Nutrition. I'm also the founder of Complete Health Institute, located in Agoura, California, where I've been in a successful practice for over 27 years. I'm passionate about what I do, and I decided to pay it forward and help you learn the tools and principles of functional nutrition medicine, which I use in my wellness center every day to solve my patients' chronic health conditions with natural solutions. I want you to understand you don't have to suffer with food allergies, intolerances, or sensitivities. So get a pad and pen because you'll want to take notes. I'm offering you a lot of usable information here. Also, if you stay till the end, I'm offering you a very special gift that you'll be able to use to help you further understand how to solve chronic health conditions with natural solutions, especially food allergies, intolerances, and sensitivities. So let's get started. Now, an allergic reaction to food is an immune system response that begins with the production of an antibody. The antibody then attaches to the antigen, or in this case, allergen, and signals the immune system to begin an attack. For our bodies to be able to do this is incredible when dealing with harmful microbes. But with an immune response dysfunction, much like a food allergy, this internal alarm goes off for something that is otherwise innocent, such as a food molecule. The antibody present in most allergenic reactions is immunoglobulin E, or IgE. When the IgE antibodies are produced, they signal the mast cells found in the lining of our skin, nose, and intestines and bronchial tubes to release chemical messengers called histamine. Then many physiological changes occur, such as dilation of the blood cells, decrease in blood pressure, skin reactions, and the swelling of the mouth and the throat. If the allergy is severe, these symptoms together can progress to anaphylaxis shock and life-threatening reactions. Intolerances and sensitivities to foods are very different than allergies. But that doesn't mean they don't negatively affect your quality of life. In fact, some mild food allergies cause less distress than a severe food intolerance. Food intolerances generally occur in response to poor digestion of a specific food, whether it be from intestinal dysfunction or lack of essential enzymes. So food intolerances are highly unique since they can manifest very differently between individuals. Common symptoms of food intolerances can range from digestive stress, such as gas, bloating, abdominal cramping, diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting, to seemingly unrelated issues like headaches, mucus production, and brain fog. While these problems are often not regarded as very severe, they can advance to more serious problems if left unattended. It's estimated that every 3 in 4 people suffer from some form of food intolerance, varying in severity. Everything from entire food groups to specific chemicals found in foods can lead to symptoms listed above, and indeed be intolerances. With leaky gut syndrome, or LGS, it's often closely linked to food intolerances. It occurs when the intestinal lining becomes so permeable that it allows large protein molecules or food molecules, such as undigested food particles and toxins, into the bloodstream. This is due to the cells of the intestinal lining becoming inflamed and damaged. In response, the immune system retaliates by attacking these invaders, much like we see in a food allergy. When leaky gut is left untreated, a continual cycle of damage occurs. This is called leaky gut syndrome. This translates to further digestive distress, nutrient deficiencies, and more immune reactions. The symptoms are very similar to food intolerances, but they're treated with nutritional therapy and by repairing the gastrointestinal system and lining. Now, inflammation is a much needed process within the body, and it's our body's natural response to any form of damage or foreign invader, and is responsible for facilitating the healing process. Chronic inflammation, however, is very dangerous. In fact, research suggests that chronic inflammation can be found at the root of most every chronic disease. Did you get that? Every chronic disease. So inflammation's a big problem, and it can be caused and sustained by unresolved infections, persistent stress, or you guessed it, regular exposure to foods that you're allergic to, intolerant to, or sensitive to. So allergy symptoms are usually easy to diagnose and avoid when recognized. If one chooses to ignore these warning signs, however, they're setting up a ticking time bomb that can lead to a firestorm of inflammation throughout the body and may eventually trigger an autoimmune disease. What is an autoimmune disease? It's your own body attacking your own body. You don't want that. So intolerances, on the other hand, are often harder to identify. Although there's no true immune response with these food sensitivities, it still does initiate our innate immunity, or the non-specific defense mechanisms within our immune system. And this is our first level of immunity and the beginning of the inflammatory response. Again, if left unresolved, this inflammation becomes chronic and breeds a host of other health issues. So we mentioned some of the common symptoms of food allergies and intolerances, but that's a short list and didn't really encompass nearly the magnitude of side effects that can come from these underlying digestive issues. So signs you may be suffering from a food allergy or intolerance or sensitivity might be varying digestive stressors, respiratory issues, water retention, unexplained weight gain, thyroid dysfunction, increased seasonal allergies, post-nasal drip, migraines, joint pain, fatigue, acne, rashes, puffy eyes, irritability, depression, anxiety, insomnia, food cravings, and unfortunately many, many more. I just can't list them all. Do you find yourself suffering from any of these on a regular basis? Well, weight gain can be a result from one of these unresolved food allergies for a few reasons. Many of the common allergens, including wheat and corn, are found in foods that are also rich in sugar. These foods encourage the happy neurotransmitters in the brain called serotonin. Unfortunately, this feel-good response is very short-term, which begins the cycle of people craving more sugar, more carbs. And this can escalate pretty quickly by increasing the frequency and amount at which the allergen enters the body. And in fact, the allergens are not always locked in on the sugar anti-nutrient. So it's important to note if one does not know they're experiencing a true intolerance. But if they're having cravings, you can pretty much guarantee there's some sort of allergenic response going on or sensitivity. Now, the body's natural response to inflammation is to release cortisol. As I discussed earlier, inflammation is a huge part in food allergies, intolerances, and sensitivities. And persistent allergenic exposure stimulates ongoing cortisol production, and in turn, a sustained increase in blood sugar. The body adapts to this cortisol influx and blood sugar excess by producing more insulin. This can lead to fat accumulation in the abdomen, or worse, insulin resistance. Weight gain from food allergies can also be a consequence of insufficient digestive function or lack of certain digestive enzymes. Inflammation of the GI tract, nutritional deficiencies, and a faulty metabolism are all related to food allergy complications and can lead to significant weight gain and further health complications. Other ways intolerances are connected to weight gain are slowing of the metabolism, increased storage of calories, water retention, harmful bacterial growth in the gut, and decrease in overall energy for physical activity. Food allergies and intolerances are different for everyone, but here are a few of the most common food aggravators. Gluten's number one, dairy comes in next. Then there's eggs, corn, and soy, peanuts, tree nuts, sesame, fish, shellfish, high FODMAP foods, histamines, nitrates, oxalates, yeast, and many food additives. I just want to let you know I go over these extensively in my online course, Mastering Functional Nutrition Lesson 1. You can find this information at functionalnutritionistacademy.com. I give you solutions and recommend supplements to mitigate the symptoms and reactions. I also go through therapeutic diets there in great detail. So the first line of defense against adverse food reactions is prevention. This means being aware of what is in the food that you eat, learning to read labels adequately, and being a more conscious consumer overall. Fortunately, it's legal and required to state what the ingredients are in packaged foods. And the most common allergens can be found in bold lists below the main ingredients for easier finding. However, for the less common allergies, this is not something to always rely on. It's best to do your research and begin feeling comfortable reading labels to ensure you're limiting your exposure to the dangers these foods and food additives may pose to you. So gluten is becoming a larger issue in today's society. There are over 1.5 million people who are suffering from gluten in one form or another, whether it be from a sensitivity, an intolerance, or even celiac disease. With gluten-free becoming almost a buzzword, it can be hard to navigate gluten's place in our food system. To break it down, there's celiac disease, where the body attacks the small intestines when exposed to gluten, whereas non-celiac gluten intolerance is where the immune system attacks the gluten because you lack a certain enzyme, which I'll explain in a minute. Or by mistaken identity, it's called molecular mimicry, and it attacks self-tissue like your thyroid because gluten has a protein peptide that looks like thyroid tissue. That's pretty scary, and it can cause autoimmune, it's known as Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroiditis. So eating gluten can lead to autoimmune thyroid disease and an inflamed gut. And new research has proven that humans lack a certain enzyme called the DDP4 enzyme needed to break down protein peptides found in wheat. So every time you eat wheat, it causes an antibody attack, inflames your intestines, leads to leaky gut, multiple food intolerances and sensitivities, and eventually the brain barrier becomes leaky and you begin the process of dementia. Don't kid yourself. The wheat in Europe still causes this problem just at a lesser degree. And if I were to do a wheat zoomer test on you, I'd still find antibodies. So damage is still being done on a massive level. The bottom line is, don't eat wheat, period. But what's gluten, you might ask? Well, gluten is a general term for a mix of proteins in many grains, such as wheat, barley, and rye. So it's not just wheat. It's the grains, too, you have to avoid. Gluten is found in many baked goods, processed foods, and even sauces. While medical diagnostic testing is available to those with celiac disease, gluten sensitivity is a bit harder to diagnose, and mainstream medicine doesn't know about some of these newer tests. So later in this presentation, I'll provide ways to identify the potential problems and finally experience some relief for many of these complications that gluten consumption can cause. So there is also a clear difference between lactose intolerance, milk sensitivity, and a true milk allergy. They can all be very easily confused. Lactose intolerance occurs when someone lacks the enzyme lactase needed to digest the sugar in milk known as lactose. The undigested lactose is then directed through the digestive system and eventually left to ferment in the intestines. This leads to a lot of GI discomfort such as gas, stomach cramps, bloating, and even diarrhea. A milk allergy is a true food allergy causing an immune-driven allergic reaction to a protein found in milk, such as whey or casein. It's also possible to develop a sensitivity to these proteins that acts very similar to an allergy. In both situations, there is an excessive inflammatory response, which usually relays to increased mucus production, asthma, acne, and digestive issues. Yes, teenagers, acne can be caused from dairy, very common. And this is incredibly important and common. In fact, 3 in 4 of all people are unknowingly intolerant to dairy-containing foods. So FODMAPs. This is an acronym created and defined by researchers at Australia's Monash University. It's used to categorize certain carbohydrates. The acronym is fermentable, oligosaccharides or fructans and galactans, disaccharides, which is lactose, monosaccharides, which is fructose, polyols, which are sugar alcohol, so FODMP. These are found in fructans, gluten, grains, galactans, and legumes. Lactose, so dairy products, fructose, most fruits, certain vegetables, and added sugars, sugar alcohols, such as xylitol, sorbitol, maltol, and mannitol. Why is this important? Well, FODMAPs have been found to be poorly absorbed by the small intestines and are often fermented in the gut and negatively impact the intestinal microbial balance, causing gas and bloating and digestive discomfort. So a low FODMAP diet is usually recommended for people with SIBO to reduce symptoms while reducing bacterial overgrowth and balancing the microbiome. If you believe you may be experiencing issues with high FODMAP foods, check out the resources found here. Now, histamines are neurotransmitters produced in response to any allergic reaction, and they serve as an alarm to warn the immune system with an instant inflammatory action to prep the body to heal. Overall, they're an important mechanism for the body to recover from adverse reactions. However, those who suffer from histamine intolerance will experience a buildup of histamines due to their body being unable to fully break them down. And this can be dangerous as histamine travels throughout the whole body. So people with histamine intolerance will usually have hypertension, irregular sleep patterns, frequent headaches, tissue swelling, dizziness, anxiety, unstable body temperature, nausea, flushing, nasal congestion, abnormal menstrual cycle, hives or itchy skin, that's one of the key signs, and fatigue. Luckily, less than 1% of the population suffers from this intolerance, but I've been seeing it more and more, and it's valuable to note because histamines are found in a variety of the foods that we eat. So if other dietary measures have not helped you in the past, we might be looking into your histamine consumption and reducing histamine production. So what can we do? As a functional medicine practitioner, we abide by the following principles. Each patient is an individual with varying degrees based on their genetics, environment, and unique health history. Health is identified as a dynamic balance of physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, rather than just the absence of disease. There is a complex mix of interactions between nutrition, physical activity, organ integrity, and stress management. So comprehensive laboratory testing and diagnostic measures are needed to ensure efficient and optimal care. Prevention and treatment of complex chronic conditions needs specialized care, and we use a variety of diagnostic tools to decipher your body's imbalances, nutritional needs, and the most effective treatment method for you. These tools include personal and family medical history, a symptom survey, therapeutic diets might be involved. We might do some laboratory tests that involve urine, saliva, blood, or stool analysis. I like to look at nutrient and stress profiles, possibly genetic testing to see if you have certain gene SNPs, allergy testing, or, could be sensitivity testing, hormone testing, and mind-body balancing and stress reduction techniques. And there's many, many more that we can incorporate. So there are many different tests available to decode food allergies, such as skin or scratch test. And these blood tests are usually IgE. But there are blood tests that test for IgG panels, which are sensitivities, as well as bacterial breath tests for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. However, it's unclear how effective these tests are for intolerances and sensitivities. So that's why we recommend first trying a comprehensive elimination diet to remove and analyze your body's reaction to certain foods. Sometimes further testing is required to get the full picture, but this dietary strategy is a great tool to begin the process of discovering what you might be reacting to and how much better you'll feel by eliminating certain foods from your diet. Have you had any past experience with elimination diets? So an elimination diet is done by eliminating potential problem foods for a minimum of 3 weeks and sometimes upward to 3 months, but at least until you begin to feel symptom-free. They are then reintroduced into your diet one by one with a close eye on how each food introduced makes you feel. If they begin to bother you again, they're taken out again to provide a clean slate for the following food group to be introduced. So we recognize that elimination diet is a bit of a process, but no diagnostic test can give you a clearer indicator of how you feel than your own body. The type of food to eliminate is chosen by the symptom you present with. I like to start by eliminating wheat and dairy for a couple of weeks and see if there is a change. If not, I'll look at some of the key symptoms. What are they? Are they fatigued with low muscle tone? Well, if yes, I might remove oxalates and salicylates. If they're hyperactive with red cheeks and angry outbursts, I might eliminate salicylates, amines, and even oxalates. So I go into a great detail in my lessons 3 in my online course, Mastering Functional Nutrition. Lesson 3 is called Food as Medicine and the Application of Therapeutic Diets. In this lesson, you'll learn about FODMAPs, elimination diets, Candida, the GAPS diet, leaky gut, SIBO, SCD, anti-inflammatory, autoimmune paleo diets, the MIND diet, and how to make fermented vegetables and healing bone broths. So check that link out. Now the following foods are recommended to be removed from your diet during the elimination phase. You definitely want to eliminate dairy and gluten. Soy and corn come in next. You've got eggs, sugar, peanuts, red meats, alcohol, caffeine, hydrogenated oils, and packaged or processed foods. If you are unable to eliminate all these foods at once, it's possible to do this diet in a staggered manner. For example, you can choose to remove a few food items, but this process takes much longer and it's easier to confuse what foods are making you feel badly if your trigger food has yet to be eliminated. So after a period of 6 weeks, you can begin to reintroduce one food at a time and see if you react. If you do, take it out and try another food. The idea of these elimination diets is not to avoid these foods forever, but to calm down the immune system and reduce inflammation in the gut and systemically, and give your body a chance to heal. Most often, you can tolerate most of the foods again, unless you have leaky gut or candida. Then you must first address those problems first, even before going on an elimination diet. So here's what you can eat on an elimination diet. Seeing the list of what foods to eliminate can be a bit intimidating at first, but don't worry, there are plenty of foods that are elimination diet friendly. Unless you have an individual concern or reason to avoid any of these foods, the following are encouraged to be a part of your daily diet during the elimination phase. So some of the gluten-free grains that you can have are rice, quinoa, amaranth, tapioca, buckwheat, and teff. Dairy substitutes can be almond milk, coconut milk, hemp milk, or rice milk. Fresh vegetables minus corn. Whole fruits, mostly fresh, frozen, or water-packed, are recommended. And then lean and clean animal protein, so wild game, lamb, organic chicken, and fresh fish. Beans and most legumes are okay, except soybeans and peanuts. High-quality oils are good. Coconut oil, avocado, and cold-pressed olive oil. Herbal teas are good, and sweeteners, such as, sweetener alternatives in moderation. I say in moderation. Honey, blackstrap molasses, and brown rice syrup. And you can use plenty of spices to keep things fun. Now, I do recommend food journaling. It's an incredible tool for tracking your food-related symptoms, and this goes for any step of your healing journey, but especially throughout an elimination diet. For example, say you're at the end of your say 3 weeks, and you're feeling fantastic, so you begin to reintroduce a certain food back into your diet. All of a sudden, you begin to suffer with increased gas, headaches, joint pain, and trouble focusing. Well, hello, you just reacted to that food. So if this continues for 2 days, note this in your food journal and take that food out. Wait until the symptoms subside, and usually takes maybe between 1 and 3 days, and then continue trying a different food back into your diet. Say the next food you reintroduce is a different food, and 2 days go by and you're still feeling pretty great. Note that and continue the process. Add another food back in. That way you'll be able to go back and measure your reactions to certain foods and really investigate what's bothering you. Also, we as functional medicine doctors love to see the data so we can help you navigate through these changes easily. So are you still wondering what you can eat? Well, here are some delicious recipes that are elimination diet friendly. The quinoa berry banana bake. Now I have links to all of these and you can jot them down and look at them later on. We have spaghetti squash hash browns, or garlic mushroom quinoa, and Italian roasted vegetables. And I have quite a few more that you can look at. So I just shared a ton of information with you, and it might be a bit overwhelming, but that's okay. Allergies, intolerances, and sensitivities can really impact your quality of life, but it's important to know that it doesn't have to be a struggle forever. Changing your eating habits and taking control of your health requires a lot of effort, but it's incredibly rewarding. Remember, allergies are an immediate reaction, an IgE. These are the ones your allergist might test you for. But delayed food sensitivities are IgG and IgA and are an immune-mediated response. These can be tested through a blood test as well. Then there are intolerances. You've heard of lactose intolerance, right? Well, you lack the enzyme to break that down. As with wheat, just because you test negative for celiac disease does not mean you're not intolerant to wheat. Take the wheat zoomer test, and you'll be shocked and empowered to never eat wheat again. Just imagine how much better you'll feel in a very short time once you follow some of these very simple tips. Thank you for taking the time to experience this class. I love sharing this topic with people who are eager to transform their health, and this group is just fantastic. If you have any further questions, please email me at support@functionalnutritionistacademy.com, and we'll be more than happy to address your concerns. Well, that's it for today. I want to thank you for taking the time to experience the class, and give yourself a pat on the back for taking steps to improve your health. I'm passionate about sharing this topic with people who are eager to transform their health and finally achieve optimal health and natural solutions for allergies, food intolerances, and sensitivities. But for a deeper understanding or more information and your free gift, remember I promised you a free gift, don't forget that, you want to go to functionalnutritionistacademy.com. There you can subscribe to the free report for your free gift, and you can also learn how to become a board-certified functional nutritionist online in your own time. Remember, I go over these extensively in my online course, Mastering Functional Nutrition. So in Lesson 1, I give you solutions and recommend supplements to mitigate symptoms and allergic food reactions. In Lesson 3, I go over therapeutic diets in great detail. So I urge you to join now and become a leader in your area. We need dedicated people helping other people. Now, if you'd like to book an appointment with myself, Dr. Rispoli, you'll want to visit CompleteHealthInstitute.com. So the link at the bottom is for Lesson 1 here, understanding the microbiome from the mouth to the other end, and how the gut is the gateway to many chronic health conditions like SIBO, leaky gut, allergies, food intolerances, autoimmune triggers, and diseases. And here you'll learn how to heal and seal leaky gut syndrome, reverse allergies, food intolerances, autoimmune diseases, and the importance of proper detoxification to reverse health conditions. Thank you again for joining me during this class. Bye now.